This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, South Africa's EFF leader Julius Malema calls for continental unity and a single African presidency. Change of guard at assembly in Benue. Alfred Berger emerges speaker after Andona Dajo's resignation. Nigeria police in partnership with Interpol repatriates Chinese fugitive Dan Qicheng. And to find Volodymyr Zelensky vows Ukraine will keep fighting for freedom on Independence Day. The president of South Africa's Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, Julius Malema, has called on African leaders to dismantle colonial boundaries and pursue continental unity under a single president, a single currency, parliament, and military command. Mr. Malema was speaking on Sunday while addressing thousands of lawyers and dignitaries at the Nigerian Bar Association's annual General Conference in Enugu.
I'm sure you've been having a great time.
It's the 2025 Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, and Enugu State is playing host to over 20,000 legal practitioners and distinguished guests from Nigeria and beyond who've converged here on the International Conference Center, Enugu, for the event. The chairman of the conference, and Sultan of Sokoto, delivers his remarks, charging the lawyers to uphold the sanctity of law and implement the outcome of the conference.
Today, justice is increasingly becoming purchasable commodity, and the poor are becoming victims of miscarriage of justice, while the rich commit all matters of crime and walk the streets scot-free. Precisely to ensure that everyone, including those in power, are subject to and accountable under the law, and that the law is applied fairly and equally, so that no one operates above the law.
The 32nd President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afam Osigwe.
The NBA president harps on the theme of the conference, Stand Out and Stand Tall, encouraging delegates to imbibe the theme despite what might be standing against the rule of law, the economy, and national development.
Let the conference inspire a fresh resolve that in every courtroom, boardroom, chamber, and community we touch, we will lead with excellence, with courage, and with vision. At this defining moment in our nation's history, where our democracy continues to evolve and our economic realities challenge us daily, we must collectively ask, how can the legal profession stand out in rebuilding confidence in our institutions? How can we lead national conversations that truly matter?
The keynote speaker and president of the South African Freedom Fighters, Julius Malema, urges the Nigerian nation and the legal profession to look inward for the development of the country rather than rely on the West.
We demand one Africa. We demand borderless Africa. We demand Africa with one president, with one currency, with one military command, with one parliament, because we know the currency of Africa will be much more stronger against the American currency. We don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. We are not subject of Trump. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump. We must stand together as the world changes and show the world that Africa is one.
He believes that the time is right for the lawyers and the African nation to resist corruption, colonization, and bad leadership.
Today, as our continent is troubled by corruption, leaders who utilize state machinery to sustain their rule at the expense of the poor and the African lives in abject poverty. A question we all ought to ask ourselves is whether the time for the legal profession and the activists to once again stand up for what is right. We must all ask ourselves whether the time has not once again arrived for liberation to be achieved against the sale of our nation to recolonization, and whether this fight must not begin by reimagining our laws for the better. We must therefore reach into this deep history of resistance and solidarity which is shared by our two nations in order to achieve the goal of restoring the humanity of Africa and their people.
The host governor, Peter Mba, speaks on his administration's judicial reform, which he describes as a testament to his commitment to development.
We were among the first states to fully implement financial autonomy for the judiciary in line with Section 121, Sub 3 of the 1999 Constitution. This has enhanced the efficiency, independence, and dignity of our courts. To decongest our courts and promote alternative dispute resolution, we have strengthened and expanded the Enugu Multi-Door Courthouse, making it a model in the region for commercial and family dispute settlement. Through partnership with civil society and the NBA, we have expanded access to pro bono legal services for indigent citizens and detainees, especially in our rural areas. No one should be too poor to afford justice.
The one-week event is expected to look at the state of the economy, tax reform, and the disruptive impact of artificial intelligence, amongst other issues of national discourse.
Lawmakers in the Benue State House of Assembly during an emergency plenary have elected Mr. Alfred Berger, representing Makurdi North, as the new Speaker, following the resignation of Mr. Andona Dajo. The session, presided over by Deputy Speaker Mrs. Lami Ogenyi, first suspended House rules to allow the process of electing a replacement. Mr. Berger, who was recently recalled from suspension, emerged as the new Speaker. In the session, it will be recalled that Mr. Berger was recently recalled. He was suspended before this occurred.
Lawmakers arrive in the chambers in Makurdi for an unusual plenary following a peace meeting at the government house. The session is coming after the resignation of former Speaker Andona Dago and the earlier suspension of Honorable Alfred Berger and 4 others. The Deputy Speaker, who presided as Majority Leader, moved to suspend House rules and recall Honorable Berger and 3 others believed to be backed by Governor Hyacinth Alia.
That the House lift the suspension of the following members to readmit them for legislative duties. They are Honorable Alfred Berger Mbega, Makurdi North State Constituency, Honorable Tina Shimawa Emmanuel, Vandika 2 State Constituency, Honorable Siri Ejebe Ekong, Oju 2 State Constituency, and Right Honorable Abu Moro James, Apa State Constituency.
Next, lawmakers unanimously nominate and elect Honorable Berger as Speaker.
Therefore, my honor to nominate our colleague, our brother, who is a bridge builder and a leader, Honorable Berger Alfred Mbega, who represents the northern side of Makurdi, to the office of the Speaker of the 10th Benue State House of Assembly at this time in history.
I will not allow my personal interests.
The member immediately takes an oath of office with a promise to work in unity with other members of the House.
I stand before you today with a deep sense of humility and responsibility. Following my election as Speaker of this Honorable House, I acknowledge the wealth of this office and the expectations of our people, who look up to us to provide sound laws, effective oversight, and quality representation. I wish to sincerely appreciate my predecessor, Right Honorable Ahmad Hassan Dajo, for his service and commitment to the progress of this House and to the people of Benue State.
Addressing journalists immediately after the session, the Benue State APC chairman hailed the peaceful conduct of the lawmakers, saying democracy and unity has prevailed.
As you know, today there's a new change of leadership in the House, and I first want to congratulate Honorable Bega Afraid for having been accepted and widely been elected by the members of the House.
The situation at the Benue House of Assembly appears to be calm for now, after 22 of the 32 members of the House had at different times suffered suspension in the last 1 year.
The Nigeria Police Force, in a landmark operation executed through the Interpol National Central Bureau in Abuja, has successfully repatriated a high-profile fugitive, Mr. Dai Qisheng, to the People's Republic of China. A statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer Lumiwa Dejobi says the operation, conducted in collaboration with Interpol NCB Beijing and the Chinese Embassy in Nigeria, underscores the force's commitment to combating transnational organized crime. According to the statement, Dai Qisheng, a notorious gang leader wanted in Guizhou province in China for leading violent organized crime, fled his home country in 2024 after a warrant was issued by the Public Security Bureau in Zhejiang County. He later sought refuge in Nigeria. Operatives of Interpol NCB Abuja placed him on surveillance and eventually arrested him in Abuja on August 8th this year. He was repatriated to Beijing on August 15th under the framework of police-to-police cooperation coordinated by Interpol. The National Caucus of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, is currently meeting in Abuja with key party leaders in attendance. Present at the meeting are Governors Bala Mohammed of Bauchi, Ademola Adeleke of Osun, and Seyi Makinde of Oyo, alongside several former governors of the party. Earlier in the day, members of the PDP National Working Committee met behind closed doors at the party's national headquarters in Abuja. That meeting was presided over by the PDP National Chairman, Ambassador Umar Damagun. The African Democratic Congress, the ADC, is consolidating its structures in Adamawa State as it prepares for a grassroots membership drive and the eventual fielding of candidates in future elections. Speaking at the stakeholders meeting in Yola, the state capital, the party's Northeast Zonal Chairman and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babashir Lawal, says that the coalition is committed to offering Nigerians credible and purposeful alternative political leadership.
It's a meeting of key stakeholders of the African Democratic Congress coalition holding in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. In attendance is a former secretary to the government of the Federation, Babashir Lawal, governorship candidates of the APC in the last elections, national and state assembly members, among others. The chairman, Northeast Zone of the coalition party and former SGF, speaking in Hausa language, says the coalition can only achieve its objectives if members discard differences and work together as a team.
At this stage,
everyone should put aside his ambition. Let's unite to build the party and get our executives, which will be followed by the Congress. Anyone who wants to contest whatever position, that will be the time to indicate interest. But I observe that some of you are jumping the gun. That will take us nowhere in Adamawa State.
We should also engage the ADC state executive from the state level, local government level, and ward level, because we understand, we know that there is structure on ground, so we should not leave them alone. We should work with them in harmony.
Some party leaders in the coalition stressed the importance of collective efforts to consolidate the party.
We will change for better. We are not saying change for the sake of changing government. We are not asking for change just for us to be in a position to acquire power and for nothing. We are asking for change that will be beneficial to the real government. Change that will change Nigeria for better.
ADC is coming up, not only in the states, but nationally. But this gathering today is significant because we are trying to lay a good, solid foundation for the takeoff of ADC in Adamawa State.
The meeting agrees, among other things, to embark on grassroots membership drive and hold elections for various offices at the state and local government levels. The stakeholders equally described the ongoing coalition as that of personal interest.
As the substantive chairman of Adamawa State ADC, nobody notified me about this meeting and nobody informed me. So that meeting, they held it based on their own interests.
As the party continues to consolidate in the state, stakeholders are optimistic that its structure will become visible very soon.
In part two, after the break, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP asks President Bola Tinubu to suspend the proposed pay hike for political office holders. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Malema calls for single African presidency. Alfred Berger emerges Benue Speaker after Andona Dajo's resignation. Nigeria police repatriates Chinese fugitive Dan Quisheng. And earlier this week, Nigeria's external reserves, also called foreign reserves, crossed the $41 billion mark. The Central Bank of Nigeria uses these reserves to back liabilities, influence monetary policy, and of course shape the direction of the economy of the country. Well, according to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, the Apex Bank remains focused on price stability and rebuilding the confidence of consumers and businesses. So tonight, Babajide Ogunsanwo, who's the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share the vital facts and insight about Nigeria's external reserves. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening, Anne.
Good evening. Now, gross external reserves, as I said earlier, is now over $41 billion. But just last week, if you recall, you talked about the rising crude oil production. Are these two events linked, or is it just a coincidence?
Three events more. It's more like three events. Three events are linked. The first event is improved pipeline security because of better security for the pipelines. That is linked to higher crude oil production. And higher crude oil production is linked to the increase in the Central Bank of Nigeria's gross external reserve. So three events linked. Improved pipeline security is linked to improved crude oil production. Increased crude oil production has significantly influenced the $41 billion CBN reserves we have as of today. The reason why $41 billion is such a big number is the last time Nigeria had an external reserves of $41 billion takes us back to December 2021. That's almost 4 years ago, the last time we saw this sort of external reserves. So pretty much good news. Let's take a look at the statistics that backs up this good news, especially looking at how those three events are linked. Pipeline security, improved crude oil production, and gross external reserves. The facts we have today currently shows that as of November 2020 was the last time Nigeria had an average daily crude oil exports of over 1 million barrels per day. Now look at what has happened between December 2020 to December 2024. Nigeria's average daily crude oil exports dropped below 1.09 million barrels per day. So we've had that extensive period, 4-year period of crude oil exports sub $1 million. But based on the facts we have from the Central Bank, they've said that from the beginning of this year, January, average crude oil exports has gone above 1 million barrels per day. So that's significantly good news. So what we've seen is since January, there's been an accumulation of growth in revenue because crude oil exports, we've seen consistency in crude oil exports. Can we still significantly do more? Yes, we can, but the evidence shows that compared to that 4-year period, December 2020 to December 2024, where we were exporting below an average of 1.09 million barrels per day, we are now in excess of 1 million barrels per day. So good news from that perspective. We're also seeing even unassociated benefits, collateral benefits from our crude oil exports. And what do I mean is the African OPEC Chief of Defense Staff, I'm talking about Algeria, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Libya. They've said this week, starting from tomorrow, they're coming into Nigeria to join other African countries to meet with the Chief of Defense Staff to really talk about collaboration. They've said their willingness to collaborate is at the highest. The Chief of Defense Staff has also made a statement today saying when African leaders rise above division, our nations rise above danger. Unity at the top secures peace at the root. So what we're saying in summary is all African Chief of Defense Staff are coming to Nigeria saying that they've seen a lot of progress in pipeline security and they really want to find a way to collaborate more with the chief here and to understand a lot of how things were done to be able to achieve this sort of results that we're seeing. So in all, a lot of benefits based on what has happened within these 3 events that I've said are linked. Improved pipeline security has led to higher crude oil production. Higher crude oil production has led to higher crude oil exports. Higher crude oil exports is now significantly influencing the CBN's position. So good news.
But Babajide, if you say Nigeria's crude oil production volume is rising, what would you say about the situation of the price of oil?
So, you know, like I always do, with the good news, there's the bad news. Now, the good news we've seen in volumes, there's bad news in price. And let's take a look at the statistics and let's focus on the facts because the facts allows us to clearly see what is going on. And these are some of the things that gives analysts reasons to be worried. So we look at Nigeria's reference crude oil, the Bonny Light, 2022, average price in 2022 per barrel, $104. As at this year, average price has dropped to $73. That's a decline of approximately 30%. Not only is that a decline, we've seen a year-on-year decline. So look at 2023 price, lower than 2022. Look at 2024 price, lower than 2023. So in all, Nigeria's reference crude oil price has been declining, and that's bad news.
But when we talk about all the big numbers, we're calling all the figures and everything, anyone would ask, what is in this for the common man? If you're saying that crude oil production is rising, external reserves, what is the impact on the normal Nigerian citizen on the streets?
And over time, that's what Nigerian leaders have really struggled to do. That's making sure that these big numbers, this growth in external revenue reserves contributes to the improved standard and quality of life. Well, there isn't really evidence to show that that is really happening. Let's take a look at some of the data from previous presidents to clearly see the trends in our chart of the week. 1999, when President Obasanjo was leading, crude oil gross reserves then only $4.9 billion. A lot of growth happened in those 8 years. As of May 2007, gross reserves had moved from $4.9 billion in 1999 to $43 billion. But despite this success, a lot of people and millions still complain that the standard of living in Nigeria still was far below potential. Between 2007, when President Umar Yar'Adua and Jonathan came in, by the time we moved into the 2015 election, crude oil reserves had moved from $43 billion to $28 billion. A lot of people were concerned about how that decline happened. Look at what happened under President Buhari, $28 billion to $34 billion. Despite that growth, there was still poverty, there was still hunger, and there was still a lot of infrastructure problems. When President Tinubu came in, it was $34 billion. The good news is $41 billion. However, the challenge is, yes, we're on a positive trajectory for our gross reserves, which improves our global perception and even the stability of the Naira. But beyond these gross reserves, and which really is about the government, there's a reserves that is even more important than the gross reserves, and that's the citizens' reserves. They are internal reserves. And there are 2 types of internal reserves. They are savings. How much do Nigerians have in their savings? We're talking about their income. What is the real median income of Nigeria? So yes, while the gross external reserves has shown growth
and is important. The government needs to understand that the citizens' reserves are perhaps even more important than the gross reserves, and I've talked about it. Their savings reserves, it really talks about what their future looks like, and their current income, because that talks about their present, the real median income. So while the president looks at the good news of the gross external reserves, two other reports he should be looking out for and he should be asking is, what's the real median income of Nigerians and how much does the common man have in his savings? That allows us to see a clearer and full picture. And
okay, I'm sure every Nigerian wants a full reserve because that's what everyone deserves.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Our founder of Leadership by Data, Channels Television's Chief Data Analyst, Babajide Muso. Thanks for your time on the news at 10.
We'll do this again next week, Anna.
We will. To other stories now. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked President Bola Tinubu to stop the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission from implementing a proposed salary increase for political and public officials, describing it as unlawful and unconstitutional. In a letter dated August the 23rd, 2025, SERAP asked the president to reject the increments for top office holders, including the president, the vice presidents, governors, deputies, and lawmakers. It also called on the vice presidents, governors, and legislators not to endorse the move. The group criticized the MAFC for prioritizing pay hikes despite worsening poverty and unpaid salary in some states, citing a 2021 court ruling that ordered a reduction in lawmakers' allowances. Well, SERAP also stressed that halting the increase aligns with the president's constitutional duty and his commitment to the rule of law. The managing director of the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Engineer Zoma Nwagba, has described the consumer credit system being introduced by President Bola Tinubu's administration as a unicorn reform. Speaking to Channels Television, Mr. Nwagba says the ongoing reforms will have a transformative impact on the economy comparable to the GSM revolution. He also adds that these benefits will reach every Nigerian.
We think of credit as a unicorn reform. And what we call a unicorn reform is like a reform that occurs once in a couple of generations. An example of a unicorn reform is the GSM revolution, right? Like you went from 100,000 lines where you had to beg Nitel, bribe them, just wait for several months and it just wasn't working, right? To, at the last time I checked, close to 100 million phone lines. Like communication is a part of life now, right? All of a sudden, my money can go 4 times the little chickeny money that I have. I can now buy a cell phone and be on the internet. I can get a laptop. I can go to school. I can buy a keke or a car that I would have saved for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years or never had. And it is everybody will experience it because there's some version of this for everybody. And the cultural change, oh, my landlord, that's even a big one. My landlords will start collecting monthly rent once the credit system is fixed. Oh. Yes, of course. Yes, because why do you pay monthly rent in the US? Because when you want to rent a house, the landlord will go and check your credit. If you have a good credit history, they will just give you the house. You pay monthly. Nobody pays for 2 years or 1 year. That means now you can suddenly start living in town because your salary can pay it monthly. It's just that it can't pay 2 years at a time. So when I say unicorn reform, it's like there's nobody that will not touch directly.
To catch the full interview, please watch Newsnight by 9 p.m. on Monday on all Channels Television platforms, and that's tomorrow. And still to come on the news at 10, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrests woman with fake pregnancy for alleged drug trafficking. Please join us again. Welcome back. Residents of Abavo, an agrarian community in Ika South local government area of Delta State, have raised fresh concerns over the abandoned Abo-Amukwe Road dualization project. That project, left unattended for more than a decade, has worsened insecurity, crippled economic activities, and deepened unemployment among the youth.
Abavo, An agrarian community known for its farmlands and abundant food production had high expectations when the Agbo-Amukpe Road project was awarded 10 years ago. Locals believed it will ease the transportation of farm produce, stimulate commerce, and attract investors. Instead, with the contractors long gone, the road has collapsed further, especially during the rainy season when it becomes nearly unmotorable. This decade-long abandonment of the Agbo-Amukpe Road dualization project has become a source of worry for residents, crippling economic activities and even turning into a hideout for criminals, worsening insecurity and heightening youth unemployment. This prompted community leaders to ask President Bola Tinubu and the Delta State government to urgently step in and rescue the community from the hardship caused by the deplorable state of the road.
The deplorable state and impassable condition of the Agbo to Amukpe section of the road has brought untold hardship to the community members and general road users. By providing a perfect setting for kidnapping and robbery to flourish within our community, it has led to near zero patronage of the once popular food market, thereby promoting poverty and unemployment in the community.
We understand this is a federal road, but it has a lot to do because we are suffering in this kingdom. However, is suffering. Look at our market. The food stuff we produce, we can't market it. And our people are suffering. And this is only what we produce here and what we do. That's our occupation.
According to the people, they welcome the award of the road project with excitement, expecting its completion within 2 years. But sadly, the situation has deteriorated further after contractors abandoned the site despite being mobilized.
In 2014, about 2015, the contract for the dualization of the Uromi-Amukpe Road were awarded in 2 phases. It was perceived to be a revolution that would most profoundly impact on the security and economic fortunes of the Abavu people. The contractors were mobilized about 2015 and 2016 to commence work. It's about 10 years now. The road has become a barrier.
For the people of Abavo, completing the Agbo-Amukpe Road is more than just a development project. It is the key to safer communities, economic revival, and a better future. Their appeal now rests with the federal government to urgently deliver on the promise made over 10 years ago.
The long-standing problem of indiscriminate waste disposal in Rivers State may soon ease following the inauguration of the Rivers State Waste Management Agency Board by the state's sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas. While addressing the new board members, Mr. Ibas urged them to adopt a comprehensive and disciplined approach to improving waste management across Rivers State.
For weeks, residents of Port Harcourt, the River State's capital, have expressed concerns about the worsening sanitation situation in Port Harcourt and its environs, as heaps of refuse litter nearly every street. In a move to address the challenge, the sole administrator of the state is inaugurating the chairman, managing director, and members of the River State Waste Management Agency with the charge to restore cleanliness in the city.
This inauguration is special because it touches directly on the health, dignity, and image of our dear state. We are not at war. There's no crisis in Rivers State. The management of waste is not a cosmetic issue. It is a matter of public safety, environmental protection, and urban renewal.
Also inaugurated during the ceremony are the chairman and members of the Universal Basic Education Board, Senior Secondary Schools Board, Internal Revenue Service Board, Microfinance Agency, Contributory Health Protection Program Board, and the State University Teaching Hospital Board. who are equally tasked on service delivery.
The River State Board of Internal Revenue is central to the financial future of our dear state. The work you are about to embark on is not just about collecting taxes. It is about building trust, strengthening accountability, and ensuring that resources of River States are mobilized to serve our dear people.
Despite being sworn in late in the afternoon, the members of the newly constituted Rewama board assumed duties immediately and are received by staff of the agency before going into a closed-door meeting. After about an hour, they emerged from the meeting.
All refuse coming from every home, factory, industries, or workplace or market must be banned before the Rewama contractors will pick them up. 3, we are going back to the era of monthly environmental sanitation.
Anybody that is not supporting this objective, you are a saboteur. And we are going to deal with you accordingly. When I say we are talking about the law that has created the agency and has empowered it to do so.
The new measures, according to the board of the River State Waste Management Agency, Rewama, are expected to restore Port Harcourt's reputation as the Garden City and reassure residents that government is committed to tackling the waste menace in the state.
The Nigerian military and residents of Jaji in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State are at loggerheads over the demolition of houses within the military cantonment, which authorities have described as illegal structures, posing security threat to the country's foremost military training institution. Military authorities say they recently uncovered drug cartels and arrested suspected dealers around the cantonment, prompting the demolition of illegal structures within the facility. But residents have rejected the military's claims, insisting the land is their ancestral inheritance. They are also accusing the military of human rights violations, citing court orders restraining their eviction.
Despite many decades of harmonious relationship, there is an ongoing conflict which appears to be brewing between the military cantonment in Jaji, Igabi local government area of Kaduna, and 7 host communities over alleged encroachment and demolition of the ancestral lands by the military.
Now like this, we don't scatter. Nowhere people go, Syrian they fought.
The angry residents of Ungwan Railway, Malam Auta, Ungwan Aboki, Sabo Ungwan Loya, and Ungwan Yohana are however insisting the demolished land in disputes belong to them, with valid certificates of occupancy. They expressed displeasure over the action of the military despite subsisting court orders to stay action, while also dismissing claim of accommodating criminal gangs.
Long before independence, we are more than 300 years. Our grandfather, they are born there. Even me, I'm speaking to you now, I'm 27 years of being village head there.
Can Kaduna bring confusion to us? So these are the things that we are surprising. Is in my present. The extension of they cross the rail for a dropping zone and for a shooting range, because the former shooting range was inside the barrack. Before they cross, the hole is still there. They were shooting and it was affecting their wife. And then they went to this same community, begged them to sell that land across to them. And the community reluctantly, friendly, because they were friends of the army.
Recently, the military announced the busting of drug cartels within the communities around the Jaji military cantonment and the arrest of over 20 suspected drug dealers who were handed over to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
The issue with the communities have been on for some time, and when the army was tired of all the crimes that is being committed in this community, the army moved to move them out, and they went to court. The court gave a stay action order on both parties. While the army respected that, these communities continued to build and expand their footprint on army land.
Taking our crew around the institution, the commander, Nigerian Army Corps, dismissed claims by the host communities, describing them as illegal occupants and security threats to the foremost military training institution. According to Commander, some of the areas occupied by the settlement overlap with areas earmarked as training areas, thereby exposing both the residents and personnel to physical danger during field exercises involving live ammunition.
We cannot continue to live like this in light of recent security challenges that are emanating within this community, ranging from drugs, kidnapping activities, including murder.
While the military and host communities lay claim to the disputed land, security experts are expecting both the Kaduna state government and the federal government to urgently wade into the matter with a view to settling both parties before the disagreement escalates into a full-blown crisis.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a 50-year-old widow and fashion designer, Mrs. Ifoma Henrietta Ezewike, for attempting to traffic 1.3 kilograms of cocaine while disguising it as a pregnancy to evade detection. The suspect, a mother of one and proprietor of a fashion outfit in Okota, Lagos, was apprehended at a bus terminal in Jibowu, Yaba on Friday, August the 22nd, while trying to move the consignment to buyers in Abuja. A follow-up operation at her residence uncovered 200 grams of cutting agents used in processing cocaine. In a separate operation, NDLEA operatives recovered 90 parcels of loud, which is a strain of cannabis weighing 48.6 kilograms, smuggled from United States and concealed in cartons of chicken sings intercepted at the courier company in Lagos. The agency also confirmed arrests and seizures in Rivers, Taraba, Delta, and Kano, with suspects now set to face persecution. And now to the arts. The National Theatre has put together a performing arts camp at the Alliance Française right here in Lagos to encourage young talents. Well, these children are guided on how to harness their communication and their acting skills. And we see it on Art Review tonight.
Thank you, Renee. You have an amazing voice, by the way. You have to put it to good use. Okay, so let's go to the dance, and then you're going to read something for me later.
The inaugural Drama Summer Camp for children between the ages of 8 to 16 years is a collaboration between the National Theatre and Grandma Wura, a platform devoted to using African proverbs, storytelling, and arts education as an alternative tool for enlightening young minds.
We're always about elevating and building capacity in adults, in children. But children is more than just a normal summer camp. It requires a lot of discipline, a lot of teamwork, a lot of digging deep, the children get a lot of confidence, And we're actually doing, it's every day from 9 till 3, every day for 6 days a week. So it's quite a rigorous program.
It's not what you are.
Okay, no, that's not for her. Okay, so let's go to one now. Go to the next page. The idea is to empower children with tools to express themselves through performances, and from the look of things, they're already catching on.
That man doesn't have morals, he doesn't have values, and he doesn't care who I am. So I will embrace my talents, my God-given talents, who I am born to be. And I'm not going to let you throw away all that I have for a bag of rice. For what?
Developing confidence.
I've always loved adventures. I get to experience new things and allow my imagination take me places. So, join me on Gara's Bus as we explore and learn about the world. Don't forget your voices and your dance issues.
Creativity. And enhancing communication.
Mom is going to pay your money as soon as possible. You know how hard the country is. She don't have to take loan just to pay for my school fees. Madam, please. Madam, wait yourself. I just beg you since you're not hungry. I don't tell you, see, when you get the money, I'll come pay you. Don't wait till I talk. Now.
E.g., you will do well to stay out of trouble and desist from mischief. One more mischief from you, and you shall once again see my wrath. Guards, untie him.
As well as public speaking skills is also at the heart of the exercise.
No be by luck everybody feel they win for this life. Oh. You see my body, eh? Now grace and luck feel me. If they lock door, I go climb window. If they lock window, I go build house, put chair, even generator self. I don't dey beg anybody to dey shine, no. I don't even dey wait to dey shine. If my time come, make a shine, I go shine.
Been able to shortlist children that we know that we can groom to be more. Some of them don't know that they have so much inside of them, but by auditioning them, you can see so much more. You can see a lot of potential, and we're just excited to get to work with them.
To expose children to professional theatre production processes, this immersive theatre camp will climax in 2 public performances, a showcase at the Terra Culture, Lagos, and another later in the year at the National Arts Theatre.
And from the Alliance Française in Lagos, let's head to Yobe State now, where the government has witnessed a steady decline in inflation over the past 2 months, especially on food items, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Well, that report released at the end of July this year shows inflation rate fell from 13.5% to 11.4%, while food inflation dropped from 17.9% to 15.1%. In the special report, Channels Television finds out from experts the factors responsible and how the decrease is affecting residents of Yobe State.
Inflation in the recent years has been a major challenge to many Nigerians, affecting the economy. A visit to the Kukareta and Katako markets in Yobe State within a week shows that 50 kg bag of maize and sorghum are sold at 37,000 and 23,000. While red beans sells for 85,000, 50 kg bag of rice 110,000, and millet is 41,000, among others. Some experts explain the factors responsible for the reduction in the prices of the commodities, especially during the lean period.
Yobe's performance and the low inflation rate is not a fluke, but as a result of deliberate policy choices. The state has managed to insulate its economy from some of the demand-driven pressure seen in more urbanized centers. This indicates a well-managed system where local production is prioritized and logistical bottlenecks are minimized.
The maize, the corn, the millets, most of them have waiver for import. So the major importers are now going outside to get the produce for their raw materials. And instead of coming to the local markets to be purchasing those agricultural produce, they are going outside to buy them in bulk.
But the Director General on Media and Press Affairs to Governor Mai Malabuni has a different view on why the inflation is dropping in the state.
Last year, there was a massive, there was the first phase of the launching of the agricultural intervention, which includes distribution of tractors, and other working tools, as well as improved seeds, fertilizer, and all the inputs required for agricultural production. And that increased the production, food production in Yobe State. What we have here is not just about food sufficiency in the state alone, but we have enough for exports as well.
Recently, agricultural inputs were distributed to farmers, while All Farmers Association of Nigeria, Association of Retired Permanent Secretaries in Yobe State, as well as renowned farmers, received free tractors, courtesy of Governor Mai Malabuni.
His Excellency directed that all these tractors be distributed to genuine practicing farmers free. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to you to make use of these tractors genuinely.
With the downward trend of inflation in Yobe State, boosting agricultural activities will increase food sufficiency in the state and across the country.
In the world of sports, Italian Serie A side AC Milan has called off its proposed transfer of Super Eagles forward Victor Boniface from Bayer Leverkusen following his mandatory medical tests. There are reports in Italy, AC Milan were not satisfied with the medical results and had reservations proceeding with that deal. Both parties had reached a verbal agreement for €5 million loan fee and €24 million buy clause by Friday ahead of his medical. But the Nigerian forward has now returned to his club, Leverkusen, in Germany. Bielsa Queens began their quest to qualify for the group phase of the Women's Champions League on a solid note, and this happened earlier this evening. The Prosperity Girls beat Ghana's Police Ladies 2-1 in Group B of the Wafu B qualifiers, holding in Côte d'Ivoire. The Nigerian side club scored in both halves of the game. Bielsa Queens will face Togo's ASCO in their second Group B match on Wednesday, while Police Ladies will face Sam Nelly of Benin Republic. The 2025-2026 Nigeria Premier League opening fixtures played across the country this evening produced only 6 goals from 9 league games. El Kanemi Warriors beat Benin Arsenal, Bendel Insurance 2-0 in their opening clash. Abia Warriors edged Kano Pillars at 1-0. Newcomers Khan Khalifat FC held former champions Rangers International to a goalless draw, while another newly promoted team recorded the first away win of the day when they stunned Katsina United 1-0. Shooting Stars also lost at home to Bielsa United 1-0, and Wiki Tourist beat Plateau United by the same scoreline. And outside our shores, Manchester United remain without the Premier League win this season. That's after being held 1-1 at Fulham earlier today. Ruben Amorim's United were left to rue Bruno Fernandes's wayward first half penalty as they were pegged back at Craven Cottage. But earlier, Everton's new era at the Hill-Dixon's Stadium got off on a bright start with a 2-0 win over Brighton in front of a crowd of just under 52,000 earlier today. Callum Hudson-Odoi cancelled his Ismaila Sarr's volley to rescue Nottingham Forest to point against Crystal Palace in a 1-1 draw at Selhurst Park. And host Angola are champions of the 2025 FIBA Afrobasket, and that's after a final showdown against Mali at a fully parked Quilamba Arena in Angola. Well, all 12,700 seats at the arena were filled as the host triumphed 70-43 against Mali in the final clash played earlier today. It was a clean sweep for the Angolans, winning the first quarter 14-10, second quarter 18-10, and the third quarter was also in favor of the host 19-11. Well, Angola also clinched the fourth quarter at 19-12. And away from sports, but outside our shores, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has vowed that his country will continue to fight for its freedom in his most defiant address to the nation on its Independence Day. He told the crowd of selected attendees, "We need a just peace, a peace where our future will be decided only by us," adding that Ukraine was not a victim, but a fighter. Special guest at this year's celebration is Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who assured him that Canada will always stand shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine. He said that drones, ammunition and armored vehicles, part of a $2 billion Canadian military package, will be delivered to Ukraine as early as September this year. The deliveries will make up more than half of a support package, which was announced in July. Also present was U.S. envoy Keith Kellogg, whom Ukrainian media reported was awarded the Order of Merit, first degree by Zelensky, during the ceremony. And parts of Gaza City has come under bombardment by Israeli forces executing plans to seize Israel, the territory's largest urban area. Residents in the area saying there has been uninterrupted explosion in northern and eastern parts of the city. And the main news again. South Africa's EFF leader Julius Malema has called for continental unity and a single African presidency. He was speaking at the NBA 2025 National Conference in Enugu, Nigeria, where he was the keynote speaker. And that's News at 10 for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawada. Good night and have a fruitful week ahead.